I want you guys to take a look at this. Big part of Russell's benching revolves around the Broncos limiting the amount of risk of having to pay Wilson $37 million if he were to get injured and can't pass his physical by early March. Of course, Russ took to social media on Wednesday saying, quote, "God's got me. I'm looking forward to what's next." All right, let's just talk about this because it would be good to get you guys' input on this. What do you think? Is Russ being treated unfairly?
Well, he's being treated without class and without professionalism. Fair does not matter in the NFL, okay? Life in the NFL for everybody, specifically quarterbacks, is not fair, okay? But here's where I that's my first time of hearing Sean Payton's comments. I got a ton of respect for Sean Payton and what he has accomplished as a coach. We can't sit in a press conference and say, well, the push behind this is strictly to get spark on the offense, when per the reports, and if the reports are true, that there was a go-to with Russell Wilson's representatives saying, hey, we want you to alter the contract and the timing of it when it comes to some of the language. Those two things can't happen at the same time. Right. We can't sit there and say, well, this is just to play better on offense or spark the offense when we know that you've already went to try and do something to the contract. The second thing is you can't sit there and say it's only and all about winning. You're 6-3 in your last 9 games. You're still in the playoffs. Right. So, and again, if this was a decision that was made strictly because of, well, our chances of get to the playoffs are now 1%, and this is the first time we're hearing about how this was being felt about in the building, different conversation. It can't be about, well, I'm only about winning when, per the report, and if it's true, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago, you went to him and tried to alter the language within the contract. Those two things can't happen at the same time. I have no problem with Sean Payton wanting to bench him. You are the head coach. You are entitled to that. You're the owners, the Walmart family. You guys can do whatever you want, but bench him. Don't go to him and say, well, again, per the reports, we want the language altered because we're trying to protect ourselves. But you don't do that to a guy that's a Hall of Fame type of player or the career was on that trajectory. You don't do that to a guy who is the Walter Payton Man of the Year.
But see, and hold on, and to that point, it was right off a victory over the Chiefs where he had thrown for 3 touchdowns.
Guys, this, from the beginning, was a doomed relationship.
Sure.
It was the worst matchup schematically and stylistically of a quarterback and a head coach. And personality-wise, it was a complete miss, right? It's the reason that in the first press conference for Sean Payton, when asked about Russell Wilson and maybe some of the coaches around the building and all of that, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to get into the building, I'm going to meet Russell Wilson, I'm going to see what was going on last year, what didn't work, so we can move forward together and find a way that it can work, he immediately dismissed him. That's never happened. I don't know. I've never had anything like that. That'll never be that. Which may be true, but from the beginning you said, you know what, I am in no way trying to build something behind closed doors with Russell Wilson that works, right? So we already knew that from the beginning that there was at least there was some level of contention between what he thought Russell Wilson was, who he perceived him to be, and who he thought a quarterback should be. Right? And then to hear that he tells Russell Wilson, stop kissing babies, you're not running for office. And I'm from New Orleans. Ain't nobody kiss more babies than Drew Brees. Ain't nobody go out and show their face and want to be not only the face of a franchise, but the face of a community more than Drew Brees. And that's what you're supposed to do when you're the leader of an organization and you've been blessed the way that these franchise quarterbacks are blessed. Nothing is wrong with that. But for some reason, with Russell Wilson, that rubbed Sean Payton the wrong way enough to go tell him about it as if that in some way affects his play.
Right.
It's the reason he's the Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Right.
It's the reason that people embrace him or people protect Russell Wilson. It's because seemingly he's a good dude. Nothing's wrong with that.
Right.
But for Sean Payton, that was an issue. Now, we've watched quarterbacks throw for 4 interceptions in games with no touchdowns. Quarterbacks who were drafted Mr. Irrelevant. Right, who get injured and want to play, and we watch their coach talk to them. We watch their coach put their paper up to their mouth so nobody can see what they're saying. Yeah. Why? Because if I'm saying something negative, if I'm saying something great, or if he's just not having a day that he's supposed to have, I won't berate you publicly. I will treat you publicly as someone who I'm in the trenches with trying to win games. Not the way we saw this man treat Russell Wilson against the Detroit Lions on that sideline.
Sure.
Not the way we saw him say, I'm going to make sure that everybody here knows it ain't me, it's you. And that's all he's done the entire season. Like Sean Payton has punched down on Russell Wilson, who was already beaten down in 22, worse than any media member, worse than any competitor, worse than any opponent. His behavior as a head coach as it pertains to that quarterback is unacceptable. And if it was anybody other than Sean Payton,
right,
we would be pointing that out.
Right.
But tell me why.
Right.
Like, what has Sean Payton done that is so exceedingly great? He is above treating people with professionalism and respect. He won one the last time I checked.
Sure.
One. He's been to one the last time I checked. He's had losing seasons. His behavior as a head coach got him suspended for a year.
Yeah.
Like, you ain't no Boy Scout.
Right.
So how do you get to treat people like crap because you don't like certain things about their personality? When all Russell Wilson has done is shown professionalism, I'm going to tell you what I would have did. Call my representation early in the year and tell me you want me to change my contract. Adam Schefter know everything. He ain't know that till now.
Right.
Because Russell Wilson's professionalism, along with his representatives, didn't want to make that an excuse. And that man went out and played his butt off for this team.
And got him back into the picture.
Yes. Because what did Bill Parcells used to always say? I don't want celebrity quarterbacks. I don't want quarterbacks going around.
But that's not true because he had a celebrity quarterback.
Always true.
That's my point. He had a celebrity quarterback. For some reason, he felt different about that dude. And I want to say this because I want Dan to talk. I talked for too long.
No,
I'm not saying that Russell Wilson has played superior elite level quarterback. He's played good, but I don't believe he's played in a way that I feel like a team should be like, yeah, he's our guy going forward. But I also don't feel he was supposed to be treated the way Sean Payton has treated him this year.
So is this sustained on his legacy?
Oh, the whole run in Denver is sustained on his legacy, absolutely. Specifically to last year, there's no question because he was on that Hall of Fame trajectory. Now it's going down as one of the worst trades in the history of the NFL. Right now, that and the Deshaun Watson contract with the Cleveland Browns, in Deshaun's contract, there's still an unknown of how it's going to end. This certainly seems like it's ending right now when it comes to the Denver Broncos. I just wanted to finish real quickly on the whole situation. I don't think either of us are sitting here saying you can't bench him.
No.
Right? Again, even though I think the play has been top 10, top 12 quarterback play-wise, if Sean Payton wants to bench Russell Wilson because he doesn't want him as the quarterback for the rest of the year or the future, God bless him.
Yep.
He gets that role. My point is this. You can't go to your starting quarterback and ask him to change the way that his contract is worded when you, as the organization, worded the contract in that capacity, and then say, if you don't, again, per the reports, if they're true, if you don't, we'll bench you. But by the way,
until then,
go win.
Go win.
What?
Yeah.
Go win. And then he goes and wins and gets him right back into the conversation. There's just ways you go, and I'm so tired respectfully of people saying, well, don't feel bad. Russell's going to get his money. So that means he could be treated poorly? When do we get to a point where, hey, man, I'm going to pay you, but I'm also going to undermine you. And I'm going to treat you the way that your actions aren't warranted. When do we get to that point
another
where
piece
it's okay?
is this, too. I'd have a ton of respect, and I believe everyone at this table would understand if Sean Payton said, I don't believe Russell Wilson is our quarterback of the future, and if he is injured, we're on the hook for a guaranteed amount of money that we do not want to pay in 2025.
100%,
this is the best thing for the organization. And we would say, you know what? You have the right to make that decision. Whether I agree with it or not, that's a business decision that you have made as a head coach going forward, and that's okay. But you ain't trying to get no spark.
Yeah.
Amen.
Here's the thing I take from that is when you guys, you and other guys who've played say this, NFL, it's a business.
Yeah.
This was a business.
But there's a way to go about business.
There's a way to
go about it. There's a way to go. You can to RC's final point right there. There's a way that you can handle your business without going to a player and doing what they did to him. And he's not just any player. I know people want to see Russell fail, and I know it's fun that people like to see him because of his personality. I don't agree with it, but I know people want to do it. You don't do that to a guy that has represented organizations in the NFL in the way that he has and has been a Walter Payton Man of the Year player.
Bro,
You don't do
the
that.
way he represented the Denver Broncos this year
In the last
under
6
that
weeks.
scrutiny,
Yeah.
and the way that Russell's been treated,
Right.
come on, man.
Hey.